Yes, good afternoon people. Another quick video. Today I'm going to talk about the UN Security Council's calls for an immediate ceasefire, which has fallen on deaf ears. Before I get into it, share, comment, like and subscribe. The UN Security Council passed a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. It was backed by 14 countries that voted in favour of a ceasefire, with the Americans abstaining. Despite the prior abstination of the Americans in the last vote for a ceasefire, it seemed as though they were taking a different stance on the conflict. However, their actions have proved to be more of the same as they continue to supply Israel with billions of dollars worth of bombs and planes. Since the resolution for a ceasefire has been passed, the Israelis have intensified their bombing campaign in Gaza. The Israeli army continues to carry out strikes against the besieged Gaza Strip in defiance of the UN Security Council's resolution that called for an immediate ceasefire. After the 2-week siege on the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza, where Hamas fighters were supposedly holed up, access to Gaza's biggest hospital is severely restricted. The Israeli and Palestinian versions of events differed sharply. There have been multiple reports of the Israeli military allegedly targeting healthcare workers at the Al-Shifa hospital, with at least 150 aid workers killed since the conflict began, an accusation the Israelis strongly deny. Palestinian officials called the raid on the hospital-treated severely wounded patients a war crime, while Israeli officials said special forces units conducted a targeted strike against a Hamas stronghold deliberately located amongst vulnerable civilians. 3 British aid workers have also been killed in an Israeli strike in Gaza. John Chapman, James Henderson and James Kirby were among the 7 World Central Kitchen workers killed in Monday's strike. The charity has paused its operations and said the other victims were Australian, Polish and a US-Canadian citizen. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said the deaths appalled him. Israel said they were killed by an unintended strike. And again, no response from the UK and the international community. Just a few hollow words. It has become so predictable. Currently, Netanyahu and the Israeli government are blatantly disregarding international law, disrespecting the authority of the UN Security Council. Despite attempts by the UN Security Council and the ICJ to intervene, their efforts seem to be futile in stopping these heinous actions. The future outcome of this situation remains uncertain. So where do we go from here? It seems that despite the lack of consequences, the Israelis are determined to finish Hamas, disregarding the UN Security Council's calls for an immediate ceasefire and continuing their bombing of Gaza. A good first step towards addressing this issue would be to stop selling arms to Israel. It is disheartening that despite daily war crimes being committed, there have been no sanctions and the international community remained silent. This only highlights who truly holds the power. The Western countries' inaction during the conflicts means they have lost all credibility on the world stage, and it's unlikely that they will ever regain it. Israel is facing a decline in international support as more and more countries express their frustration with the ongoing conflict. Even the incoming president, Donald Trump, has voiced concern about Israel's diminishing number of allies. He added, it is clear that the time has come for Israel to bring the war to an end. The British government has received advice from its own lawyers stating that Israel has breached international humanitarian law in Gaza but has failed to make it public, according to a leaked recording. The revelation will place Lord Cameron and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak under intense pressure, because any such legal advice would mean the UK had to cease all arms sales to Israel without delay. Legal experts said that not to do so would risk putting the UK in breach of international law itself, as it would be seen as aiding and abetting war crimes by a country it was exporting arms to. Why is this important information hidden from the public? I don't expect any change in policy regarding arms sales to Israel. They will risk the possibility of breaking international law and continue to do the bidding for the puppet master. Let's face the truth. Both the US and the UK are deeply involved in the ongoing genocide in Gaza. The constant lies and manipulation have grown tiresome. It's time for some concrete action to be taken. The fact that Israel is blatantly disregarding the UN Security Council resolution for an immediate ceasefire raises the question of what steps will be taken next. And I'll end with this. There are allegations that governments around the world have been influenced by a certain group of individuals who control things behind the scenes. While this may seem far-fetched, it begs the question, do all politicians truly believe that the current state of affairs is acceptable? I think not. Unfortunately, it seems that in today's world, money holds more power than truth, and those who dare to speak out against wrongdoing risk their careers, showcasing the sad reality that money can buy compliance and silence. Israel should have faced sanctions by now for their repeated violations of international law. However, no action has been taken, while other countries are sanctioned for simply disagreeing with the US. Make that make sense? This raises the question of why Israel has not faced consequences for their actions. It is disheartening to see politicians defending these actions, highlighting the blatant double standards and hypocrisy at play. Thanks for watching. Share, comment, like and subscribe. Out of here.